friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Liv. If you've never been here before, thank you so much for stopping by. Today we are going to be talking all about the books that I am so excited for that come out the rest of the year. So for this video, we are going to be talking about all the new releases that come out in October, November, and December. So as you can imagine, there's going to be a lot of spooky fall books, some fantasy, but there's also going to be a lot of Christmas rom-coms that I threw into this list. Christmas and the holidays is pretty much the best time to read those kind of books, and pretty much the only time I really get into them. So I'm super excited to share this list with you. There's a lot that is coming out this month. There's a few that are coming out in November, but I only have a couple for December. If you guys think of any to add to this list or that you're excited for in December, definitely let me know. This is going to be a long video, so go ahead and grab a cup of tea, cup of coffee, get cozy, and let's just go ahead and jump right into the October books. The first book that I have found recently that actually just got bumped up to the highest on my list for this month is Memories, Lies, and Other Binds by Katie Foraker. This just sounds absolutely right up my alley. There's so many elements to this, so I'm just gonna read you like the first couple sentences because when I heard The Vampire Diaries meets The Da Vinci Code, like I was already sold. This is a thrilling dark academia take on urban fantasy. Zoe Prescott doesn't age, which gives the bookish demonologist plenty of time to focus on her work at the Research Institute of Demonic Entities and Rarities. She's also there to figure out why she stopped aging at 22, even though the mind-bending hypnotherapy sessions to help her remember seem to cause more harm than good. When a serial killer targeting powerful witches emerges, Zoe ignores her colleague's advice not to hunt for the murderous vampire responsible, but unfortunately happens to be her brother. You guys, I am going to be picking this up and reading it immediately. The next book I'm pretty sure is high on a lot of people's list is Our Missing Hearts, and I really loved Little Fires Everywhere. I loved the TV show. I didn't actually read the book, but I loved that story so much that I'm so interested in picking up this book. And I do know it has to do with a librarian who is the main character that is trying to conserve, I think, the Asian culture, if I'm not mistaken. But it's also a sci-fi dystopian, which really piqued my interest. It may end up reading a little bit more contemporary, but that's okay with me because I don't read sci-fi as much as I should. But if I enjoy the writing as much as I loved the show, I just feel like I'm really gonna like this author. And I also just haven't read a dystopian in a really long time, so this one just sounded really good. The next book I want to talk about is The Second Death of Edie and Violet Bond. This cover and title alone just gripped me right away, but this is also a standalone, which doesn't often happen in fantasy, so I'm super excited about that aspect. But Edie and Violet Bond know the truth about death. The 17-year-old twins are powerful mediums just like their mother. Violet can open the veil between life and death, and Edie can cross into the spirit world, but their abilities couldn't save them when their mother died and their father threatened to commit them to a notorious asylum. So from there, these two twins are basically runaways. They meet all sorts of different people along the way, and I'm sure a lot of other things happen, but right there, that is all I need to know. Switching gears a little bit here with an adult holiday romance is Once Upon a Time by Amy E. Reichart. This just sounds like such a cute book, especially with the names Astra Noel Snow and Jack Clausen. Astra goes through a terrible divorce and she takes a yearly trip to Milwaukee, which has a Christmas market that takes on a whole new meaning. She's ready to eat, drink, and be merry, especially with the handsome stranger who saves the best Kringle for her at his family bakery. For Jack Clausen, the jewel marked with its snowy lights and charming shops stays the same, while the world outside the joyful street changes, magically leaping from one December to the next every 4 weeks. So this sounds like it's definitely cozy, but it also has those amazing magical realism vibes that's just going to be a really unique spin on a regular romance novel. The next book, which is another witchy vibe book that you guys know is my favorite theme this time of year, is called The Witch in the Well by Camilla Bruce. Honestly, cannot remember where or how I came across this book, but this just sounds sounds like an amazing book, mainly because it says it is a dark Norwegian thriller. So right there, you got me. This sounds like a very slow-paced book, but I feel like if the vibes are right and the creepiness is there, the fact of like someone drowning in a well just sounds like such a creepy theme, and I'm just here for it. A lot of books are getting these cover redesigns. Like, how in the world have I never seen or heard of this story just because people are getting redesigns? That being said, I am super intrigued to read The Haunting of Maddie Clare. I know very little about this one, but I did read The Broken Girls and I super enjoyed it, so I'm very interested in jumping into her backlist. This takes place in England in the 1920s, and I think this has to do with a ghost hunter. Literally all I know. I kind of want to go into this one blind, but I feel like the fact that this is getting a redesign and it's a popular author, hopefully it will be worth checking out. This next book, called If You Could See the Sun, is actually a young adult magical realism fantasy romance, but the synopsis very much reminded me of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Alice Sun has always felt invisible at her elite Beijing international boarding school, where she's the only scholarship student among China's most rich and influential teens. But then she starts uncontrollably turning invisible. Actually invisible. When her parents drop the news that they can no longer afford her tuition, even with the scholarship, Alice hatches a plan to monetize her strange new power. She'll discover the scandalous secrets her classmates want to know for a price. This sounds so intriguing. I feel like it has been a while since I've been this excited for a young adult book, because I feel like nowadays I read more adult books or mystery thrillers or adult fantasy even, so I am very excited to actually pick this one up, and the cover is actually super cool. Jumping back into another holiday romance by Emily Stone called One Last Gift, I am so excited about. Unfortunately, I didn't get to her other book, Always in December, so I'm hoping that if I love that one a lot, I will be picking this one up as well. And what really piqued my interest for this one is there is a scavenger hunt element to it. I just love when romance includes some other subplot or some other plot that is kind of encompassing the romance, and it's not just like steamy scenes. I really enjoy a little bit of plot along with my romance, so this one sounds super gripping, possibly super sad like her other book, and sometimes I just love a good sad book. The Ghost Woods by C.J. Cook is going to be another book that I know I'm going to pick up immediately because I am obsessed with the Lighthouse Witches. I still need to read The Nesting by this author, but I feel like this could possibly be a new favorite author for me. I'm just going to go ahead and read you the synopsis because I cannot do it justice for how atmospheric this book is going to be. In the midst of the woods stands a house called Lichen Hall. This place is shrouded in folklore, old stories of ghosts, of witches, of a child who is not quite a child. Now the woods are creeping closer and something has been unleashed. Pearl arrives in 1965, one of the string of young women sent to Lichen Hall to give birth, and she soon suspects the proprietors are hiding something. Then she meets the mysterious mother and young boy who live in the grounds, and together they begin to unpick the secrets of this place. As the truth comes to the surface and the darkness moves in, Pearl must rethink everything she knew and risk what she holds most dear. How does that not sound like the perfect atmospheric fall book? I have been super into gothic kind of horror tales lately, and one that I have literally seen no one talk about is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. I believe this is going to be a series. I'm not sure if it's going to be a trilogy or a really long series or maybe just a duology, but this sounds so freaking good. Elspeth Spindle needs more than luck to stay safe in the eerie, mist-locked kingdom of Blunder. She needs a monster, an ancient spirit trapped in her head. He protects her. He keeps her secrets, but nothing comes for free, especially magic. So Elspeth meets like this mysterious guy who actually turns up to be a king, I think. So the two of them work together somehow to cure this magic inside her head. It sounds very confusing, but also it's an adult fantasy, so there is going to be like more politics, a heavier plot, but I've been hearing nothing but great things from people who already have the arc of this, so it's definitely high on my list to at least read this winter at some point. This book called Meet Me Under the Mistletoe by Jenny Bayliss, I mean, just look at the cover. Like, how does that make you not want to buy it? It looks so dang cute. This one says a city bookshop owner heads to the English countryside for a holiday reunion only to face her childhood enemy. So obviously, if you love enemies to lovers, this is going to be the book for you, and I'm so excited to pick this one up myself. Built to Last by Erin Hahn caught my attention because it is about a girl who actually kind of remakes vintage furniture, but she used to be a former actress, I believe, and so she ends up somehow bumping into her old co-star who she used to have a crush on, and they end up making this home renovation show together. Like I said before, I just love a little bit of extra plot in my romance books, and this just sounds like the perfect cute fun spin, especially because I love watching HGTV. So if you're like me and that sounds interesting to you and you love HGTV, then you probably need to keep an eye on this one as well. Guys, who am I? I am putting all of these romance books on my list, and that has never happened before until this year. But this one, again, sounds like such a fun, cute, unique spin on your normal average romance. It's called A Cosmic Kind of Love by Samantha Young. The main character in this book is an event planner coordinator, and she is given by her boss files of inspiration for the specific, I guess, space-themed party, but she ends up finding files from her boss's ex-boyfriend of videos, I guess, that they used to send back and forth, and so she thinks he's really cute and really funny. And she actually ends up sending emails and videos to this discontinued NASA email address. Well, the ex-boyfriend, who used to be an astronaut, gets forwarded all of these emails and videos from the IT department, and you can guess what happens from there. While I have never read a John Marrs book, I absolutely adored the show on Netflix from his book The One, and I really need to read that book still, but he's coming out with a book called Keep It in the Family. Mia and Finn are busy turning a house into their dream home when Mia unexpectedly falls pregnant. But just when they think the house is ready, Mia discovers a chilling message scored into a skirting board. I will save them from the attic. Following the clue up to the eaves, the couple make a gruesome discovery. Their dream home was once a house of horrors. In the wake of their traumatic discovery, the baby arrives and Mia can't shake her fixation with the monstrous crimes that happen right above them. So this also sounds like there might be a little bit of haunted house or horror aspects to this story, which sounds absolutely perfect and right up my alley. The book of the month choice that I got for October was actually this book called Sign Here by Claudia Lux, and the main reason I decided to pick it up is because it's been compared to Grady Hendrix, and you guys know how much I love Grady Hendrix. A darkly humorous, surprisingly poignant, and utterly gripping debut novel about a guy who works in hell, literally, and is on the cusp of a big promotion if only he can get one more member of the wealthy Harrison family to sell their soul. So yeah, obviously if this is anything like Grady Hendrix, I love some good dark humor. I feel like this is just going to be a great read for this time of year, and who knows, maybe it will be another favorite author. I was not going to mention this next book, but because I enjoyed the first book in the series so much, I have yet to read the second one, I still thought it was worth mentioning, and it's called The Vanishing of Aveline Jones. If you guys don't know, I read the first one in this series, and it was the perfect spooky middle grade book that had great coastal, kind of cozy vibes, and I so much enjoyed the paranormal kind of aspects to this, and honestly I think it was the first spooky middle grade I've ever read. I definitely have a special place for this series in my heart, and you bet I'm definitely going to be picking up the last one in this installment. Diving right into the books for November, starting with The Cloisters by Katie Hayes. This one has been compared to The Secret History meets Ninth House in this sinister atmospheric novel following a circle of researchers as they uncover a mysterious deck of tarot cards. So The Cloisters is actually a Gothic museum and garden renowned for its medieval art collection and its group of enigmatic researchers studying the history of divination. This is actually a Gothic mystery thriller that has some fantasy but dark academia and also horror. So I feel like there's so many different elements in this book that are just going to make this super unique and super intriguing. It's also a standalone, so yay for that. The next book is another romance called The Rewind. This is about two exes who wake up together with wedding bands on their fingers and no idea how they got there. So I feel like this is a second chance romance, which I'm a huge fan of, and we also just backtrack in time, which I also like. I don't really know what else this story holds, but the main reason is I've been seeing a lot of my friends that have read ARCs. Everyone has given this 5 stars, so that kind of piqued my interest. Keeper of Enchanted Rooms is the first in a series that sounds super interesting. It's a historical fantasy sci-fi adult book. This cover alone makes me want to jump right into the story, and in this book we have our main character who is a writer who unexpectedly inherits a remote estate. He's actually been estranged from his family, so he's very confused why he's the one inheriting this, but I think he has to learn to control the house and possibly learn its secrets. I know it's not a haunted house, but I'm just very interested in discovering the magical system of what's going to go into this book. But it sounds like the house has its own personalities and different things that are involved, so I don't know, it just sounded unique and thought I would give it a shot. This next book I want to pick up solely because of the autumn vibes that this cover gives me. It's called Sugaring Off, about a girl who's obsessed with wildlife, and she actually lives on her aunt and uncle's maple syrup farm, and it ends up being a mystery thriller somehow. But I do know that her father is in prison, I believe, so I'm not sure what the backstory is there, but this does say for fans of Mindy McGinnis and also Courtney Summers. Even though sometimes I'm a little bit skeptical of mystery thrillers being young adult, just that whole category and genre sometimes tends to disappoint me. I feel like this one could be really good because it just sounds like a very autumn vibe that I feel like would just fit the mood for fall. And then I have Legends and Lattes, which has already been out for a while. I think it was originally on Kindle, but Tor actually decided to pick this up and publish it, which gives me so much hope for this book because I love almost anything Tor publishes. In this book we have an orc who owns a cafe essentially and is a barista, but this is meant to be very cozy, very vibey. Definitely not your typical adult fantasy where usually there's a lot at stake, you have a lot of world building, and there's a lot of politics or plot involved. This one is just solely vibes, and I feel like this is just going to be perfect for fall. I would also really love to pick up Gleanings by Neil Shusterman because I love that trilogy so much. I didn't really so much care for the last book and how it wrapped up, but I still really love the world, and this series kind of got me back into reading after years, so it kind of holds a special place in my heart that I am super excited to just jump back into the world. I think we're gonna follow some new scythes, and I don't really know what else happens. I don't think it's a continuation on of the story. I think it's just a novella that maybe has some short stories in this dystopian world. This next book piqued my interest because of the author, Lisa Unger. It's called Secluded Cabin Sleep 6. I read one of her thrillers, I think it's Confessions on the 45 before, and while I wasn't super impressed with the book itself, I really did love the writing and I flew through the book, so I'd really love to give her another shot. This just has to do with 6 different couples that come to a resort, essentially, just a vacation, but then there's a terrible snowstorm. I'm not sure what else happens, but it's definitely reminding me of Rock, Paper, Scissors, or maybe even One by One by Ruth Ware. So I feel like the vibes itself just give me winter feelings, and so I think this is going to be a good one to pick up maybe in December. I have been super interested in finding out if I like Catherine Steadman or Catherine Steadman's writing. The Disappearing Act definitely has a lot of mixed reviews, but she's coming out with a book called The Family Game, which actually has Knives Out feels to it, and I don't know much about this, but I do know one family member receives a cassette tape that kind of puts this whole game of some sort for the inheritance into motion. I'm not sure what all the inheritance includes. A deadly game just sounds like such a good time, and I'm really interested in kind of getting more into new to me mystery thriller authors. Out of all of these books that I have talked about, A Wilderness of Stars by Shay Earnshaw is probably at the top of my list. This author has quickly become a new favorite for me, and I think I've read most of her books by now, but I am just so excited about this one, and I don't even recall what it's about because I really would love to go into this one blind. I just know for a fact I love her writing, I love the atmosphere, and that's pretty much all I need to know. This one is young adult. It's a high fantasy, but there's also paranormal elements, so I'm very excited to see what all that is about. Going into the 2 books that I'm excited for in December, which, like I said, if there's more than these, please let me know, because for some reason there's a lot coming out in October, November that I'm stoked for, but it's hard to find things at the end of the year. So I am very excited to pick up 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. I have read The Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I read the first one and I wasn't super impressed, but this just sounds like a really good time because in this book we have 8 hours and 6 friends. So all of these friends go on like a spring break vacation in an RV, but the RV breaks down and there's no mobile reception, the tires are shot out, and so it's just a game of cat and mouse. It sounds like it could be a time of the friends getting closer, maybe some secrets uncovered. I'm very excited to just kind of enjoy the ride for this one and just have a fun time with it. And last but not least is a cozy mystery called Vinyl Resting Place by Olivia Black or Blake. I am so excited for this one because the cover is amazing, but also Ellie Kazumano, who wrote Finley Donovan, actually blurbed this, so that's kind of what piqued my interest in the first place. When Junie Jessup and her sisters Tansy and Maggie put all their beans in one basket to open Sip and Spine Records, a record/coffee shop in Cedar River, Texas, they knew there could be some scratches on the track, but no one was expecting to find a body deader than disco in the supply closet. So I love the fact that there's a sister and a family dynamic in this one, and I love a good whodunit story. I'm also new to this genre, so I'm slowly finding out my taste and what I like in cozy mysteries, but so far I just love the vibes of what I'm already hearing from this one. Alright friends, well there is my very long list of the books that I have on my radar for the rest of the year. Let me know what books you guys are excited to read, if there's any I forgot, if there's any on this list that you guys are also looking forward to, please let me know. This is one of my favorite videos to do research on, but I love just keeping tabs on new books throughout the year and just having little fun books to look forward to every single month. So hopefully you guys are interested in at least one of these books I mentioned. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done before. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video.